Life is a constant cycle of beginnings and endings. Each new year brings a unique opportunity to pause, reflect, and redirect our lives. It's time to reset, restart, and refocus. But how often do we let these moments slip away? Have you ever felt stuck, as if your goals are just out of reach, no matter how hard you try? Let me tell you a quick story. A close friend of mine, the owner of a small shop, found himself burned out last year. Despite working tirelessly, he felt like he was going nowhere. After months of frustration, he decided to approach things differently, not by making grand resolutions, but by embracing small, consistent changes. He began waking up 15 minutes earlier, journaling his thoughts, and setting 3 simple goals for the day. Slowly but surely, those tiny habits transformed his life and reignited his passion. This story might feel familiar because it's one we all share in some way. Whether it's juggling responsibilities, overcoming setbacks, or feeling lost, the struggle to reset and refocus is universal. But here's the good news. Change doesn't require monumental leaps. With actionable Stoic principles, you can take small, meaningful steps to reshape your life in 2025. Stay with me as we dive into practical tools and timeless wisdom to help you regain clarity, build resilience, and confidently navigate the year ahead. What steps are you planning to take this year? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your story. 1 micro habits for macro change. Resetting, restarting, and refocusing doesn't have to mean turning your life upside down overnight. It's often the smallest changes, repeated consistently, that lead to the biggest transformations. Imagine trying to shift the direction of a massive ship. You don't yank the wheel violently, you make small adjustments, gradually setting a new course. The same principle applies to your personal growth. Stoicism teaches us that life is best lived in alignment with nature's rhythm. Marcus Aurelius reminds us in his writings that progress is made step by step, never all at once. He believed that our greatest strength lies in taking purposeful action daily, focusing on what we can control instead of obsessing over the enormity of the task ahead. When we align ourselves with this approach, we reduce overwhelm and gain clarity. Let's return to the story of my friend, the shop owner. Exhausted and uninspired, he chose not to make sweeping resolutions, but instead started small. Each morning, he woke up 15 minutes earlier and spent those moments journaling, writing his thoughts, fears, and aspirations. His second goal was to prioritize his tasks for the day, listing just 3 achievable objectives. Finally, he ended his evenings reflecting on one thing that brought him gratitude. These seemingly simple actions, repeated daily, slowly reignited his passion for his business. Over time, he began rediscovering why he started in the first place: his love for creating handcrafted furniture that brought joy to his customers. This story isn't unique. Many people feel trapped by their routines or overwhelmed by the enormity of change. Perhaps you've experienced this, wanting to reset but unsure where to start. The truth is, you don't need to tackle everything at once. Instead, focus on one habit that aligns with your goals. It could be as simple as dedicating 10 minutes to quiet reflection each day, organizing your workspace, or committing to a short morning walk. Small habits like seeds grow into profound transformations when nurtured consistently. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus often spoke of the importance of practicing discipline in small, everyday actions. He argued that mastery over the self begins with the ability to follow through on the simplest commitments. You can't control the vast expanse of the world, but you can control whether you show up for yourself each day. And when you do, you gradually build momentum that carries you forward. So how can you reset and restart your life in a way that feels manageable and meaningful? Start by identifying one area where you feel stuck. Ask yourself, what's one small action I can take today to improve this part of my life? Maybe it's setting an alarm 15 minutes earlier, clearing out a cluttered corner of your home, or committing to drinking more water. Whatever it is, do it with intention and consistency. As Marcus Aurelius would say, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. When my friend began this journey, he didn't immediately see results. But as the weeks passed, he noticed subtle shifts in his energy and perspective. He felt more in control of his day, more focused, and less overwhelmed. Slowly, his passion reignited. He began sketching new designs for his furniture, creating pieces that reflected his newfound clarity. His customers noticed too, and their enthusiasm fueled his creativity even further. Remember, life doesn't demand monumental leaps to transform. It asks for quiet, consistent effort, a commitment to show up each day and take one small step forward. Micro habits might seem insignificant at first, but over time, they create ripples that grow into waves. Resetting your life isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Start small, stay steady, and let your journey unfold naturally. 2. Reinvent yourself. Start fresh in 2025. New beginnings don't happen by accident. They're created by letting go of what no longer serves us and stepping into what aligns with our true purpose. In today's fast-paced world, many of us feel trapped by routines, expectations, and the fear of change. But what if breaking free was the only way to truly grow? Stoicism encourages us to see change not as something to fear, but as an inevitable and natural process. Seneca wrote that every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. To reinvent yourself, you must accept that life is full of transitions and that growth often requires letting go of the past. Change doesn't mean abandoning who you are. It means becoming closer to the person you were meant to be. My cousin is a perfect example of this. After 25 years in finance, he found himself increasingly disillusioned by the endless cycle of numbers, deadlines, and stress. For years, he dreamed of living closer to nature, imagining a life filled with simplicity and purpose. Last year, he made the bold decision to sell his home in the city and buy a small farm on the outskirts of town. He didn't know anything about farming, but he was ready to learn. At first, it was challenging. The pace of rural life was slower, almost unnerving, for someone accustomed to the hustle of the financial world. He spent months learning to cultivate crops and care for animals, embracing the trial and error process with patience. Over time, something changed. He found joy in the simplicity of feeding his chickens, watching the sunrise over his fields, and feeling the earth in his hands. He had reinvented himself not as a farmer, but as someone connected to a deeper purpose, a life that felt true to his core. This story resonates with many of us because it highlights a universal truth: the longing for something more. Perhaps you felt the pull to pursue a career you're passionate about, move to a new place, or redefine your relationships, but fear often holds us back. What if it doesn't work out? What if we fail? These questions can paralyze us, but Stoicism offers a way forward. Epictetus reminds us that while we cannot control external outcomes, we can control our actions and choices. Reinvention starts with small, deliberate steps toward the life you envision. If you've dreamed of a new career, start by dedicating an hour a week to learning a relevant skill. If you want to live more mindfully, set aside time each day to meditate or reflect. The key is to act, even when the path ahead feels uncertain. Waiting for the perfect moment only delays the transformation you desire. For my cousin, the decision to reinvent his life wasn't just about changing his surroundings. It was about rediscovering what truly mattered to him: peace, connection, and purpose. And while the transition wasn't easy, it was deeply rewarding. This is the essence of reinvention: choosing courage over comfort, purpose over routine. If you're standing at a crossroads, unsure of where to begin, remember that reinvention doesn't require perfection. It simply asks for a willingness to start. Write down one part of your life where you feel stuck and list 3 small steps you can take to move towards something better. Maybe it's reconnecting with a forgotten passion, changing your daily routine, or simply taking a quiet moment to reflect on what you truly want. Every step, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you're meant to live. As Seneca would say, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Let this year be the start of your transformation. Reinvent yourself with courage and purpose, and embrace the unknown with open arms. The life you want is waiting. 3. Shift focus from motivation to discipline. True growth isn't fueled by bursts of inspiration, but by the quiet, steady power of disciplined action. But then reality sets in. The initial excitement fades and life's demands creep back in. This is where most dreams falter, not from lack of talent, but from relying solely on fleeting motivation. True change doesn't come from bursts of inspiration, it comes from discipline, the steady commitment to showing up even when you don't feel like it. Stoicism teaches us that emotions, while natural, should never dictate our actions. Epictetus wrote that success is rooted in controlling our desires and committing to consistent effort, not depending on how we feel in any given moment. Discipline isn't glamorous, but it's the foundation of every meaningful achievement. To restart your life with purpose, you must prioritize daily actions over temporary inspiration. I once knew a teacher who dreamt of writing a novel. For years he spoke of the characters and plots swirling in his mind, but his demanding job left him too drained to make progress. One summer, he finally started writing. Fueled by motivation, he crafted a few chapters and felt invigorated. But by the time fall arrived, the grind of teaching sapped his energy, and his dream was shelved. He told himself he'd return to it when the time was right, but months turned into years. Then one day, he made a decision. Instead of waiting for inspiration, he set a disciplined routine, 500 words every morning before work. Rain or shine, inspired or not, he sat at his desk and wrote. Some days the words flowed effortlessly, other days they were a struggle. But he kept going. After a year of this quiet persistence, he finished the first draft of his novel. A dream that once seemed so distant was finally realized. This story isn't just about writing, it's about the power of discipline to transform any aspect of your life. Whether it's building a business, improving your health, or cultivating a skill, the formula remains the same. Success is a product of consistent effort, not occasional bursts of motivation. Think about a common scenario. You might want to exercise more, but wait for the right mood to hit. Days pass, then weeks, and your goal drifts further away. Discipline, not mood, is what will get you to lace up your shoes and hit the gym. Small actions, repeated daily, create momentum that builds over time, eventually becoming a habit. And habits, unlike fleeting motivation, don't rely on how you feel in the moment. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed in focusing on what you can control, your actions, and letting go of the rest. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that external circumstances are irrelevant. What matters is showing up and doing the work. By adopting this mindset, you free yourself from the tyranny of emotions and excuses. So, how can you apply this to your own life? Start by choosing one goal you've been putting off. Break it down into manageable steps and commit to taking one small action every day, no matter what. If you want to improve your fitness, set aside 15 minutes each morning for a workout. If you've been meaning to save money, automate a small percentage of your paycheck into a savings account. The specific action matters less than the consistency with which you do it. For my friend, the act of writing 500 words daily wasn't just about finishing his book. It was about proving to himself that he could stay committed. This discipline spilled into other areas of his life, giving him a newfound confidence and control over his time. Remember, motivation is like a spark. It ignites the flame but fades quickly. Discipline is the steady fuel that keeps the fire burning. When you shift your focus from fleeting inspiration to consistent action, you unlock a power that can reset and restart your life with unshakable purpose. Take the first step today and let discipline carry you forward. 4. Unbecoming to become. Resetting your life often feels like adding more. New habits, fresh goals, and bigger aspirations. But sometimes the most profound transformation comes not from adding, but from letting go. To restart and refocus, you must release what weighs you down: old expectations, perfectionism, and the fear of failure. This process, while challenging, creates the space for true growth. Stoicism teaches us that life is shaped by what we choose to value and focus on. Epictetus emphasized that many of our struggles stem from clinging to things outside our control. By letting go of these attachments, we reclaim our peace of mind. Growth often begins not with striving for more, but with unbecoming everything that doesn't align with our authentic selves. One of my colleagues lived this truth. He was a perfectionist, holding himself and others to impossibly high standards. Every task had to be flawless, every decision meticulously thought out. While his work was exceptional, his constant pursuit of perfection left him anxious, stressed, and often disappointed. He couldn't enjoy his achievements because they were never good enough. Relationships suffered too, as his expectations strained connections with friends and family. One day, he realized something had to change. He began examining his need for perfection, questioning why he allowed it to control his life. Slowly, he shifted his focus from outcomes to the process itself. If a project wasn't flawless, he reminded himself that effort mattered more than results. He started forgiving himself for mistakes, understanding that imperfection is not failure, but a reflection of being human. Over time, he extended this grace to others, softening his interactions and deepening his relationships. The transformation was subtle but profound. He became happier, more peaceful, and capable of truly enjoying life. This story is not unique. Many people hold themselves to impossible standards, convinced that only perfection leads to success. But this mindset often breeds frustration and burnout. Think of the parent striving to give their child a perfect upbringing, the entrepreneur obsessing over every detail, or the artist discarding work they deem inadequate. In trying to achieve perfection, they miss the joy of the journey. The Stoics remind us that life is a process, not a destination. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Letting go of perfectionism doesn't mean abandoning ambition. It means shifting focus to what you can control: your effort, attitude, and growth. By embracing imperfection, you open yourself to growth, creativity, and deeper connections. How can you start letting go of perfectionism in your life? Begin by identifying one area where your high standards create stress. Maybe it's your work, relationships, or personal goals. Ask yourself, are these expectations realistic, or are they holding me back? Then commit to focusing on the process rather than the outcome. If you're working on a project, celebrate the effort and learning involved, even if the result isn't flawless. In relationships, practice forgiveness, both for yourself and others. Recognize that mistakes are opportunities to grow, not failures to dwell on. For my colleague, this shift didn't happen overnight, but each small step, accepting an imperfect report, forgiving a missed deadline, or appreciating an unpolished moment, helped him break free from the prison of perfectionism. He found a newfound sense of freedom and joy, a reminder that life is meant to be lived, not mastered. To reset and refocus your life, sometimes you must unbecome, release the need for perfection, and embrace the beauty of imperfection. By doing so, you'll discover a life richer in peace, connection, and fulfillment. Growth is not about flawless execution. It's about showing up, learning, and moving forward, one imperfect step at a time. 5. Fail forward, learning through setbacks. Setbacks aren't the end of your story. They're the stepping stones to something greater. When plans crumble, it's tempting to see setbacks as the end of the road. But failure isn't an endpoint. It's a turning point, a chance to reassess, adapt, and grow stronger. Each failure carries lessons that can guide us forward, provided we're willing to listen. Stoicism embraces failure as an integral part of life. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Obstacles, far from being barriers, are opportunities to develop resilience and wisdom. When viewed through this lens, failure isn't something to fear. It's a tool for transformation. A close friend of mine experienced this firsthand. Last year, he launched a bold business venture, pouring his time, resources, and energy into making it a success. But despite his efforts, the project failed, leaving him financially strained and emotionally defeated. He could have let the failure define him, but instead, he chose to learn from it. He spent weeks analyzing what went wrong: poor market research, lack of contingency planning, and overconfidence in certain areas. Each mistake became a stepping stone, shaping a clearer path forward. As the new year began, he was ready to start again. Armed with the insights from his failure, he approached his next project with humility, better preparation, and renewed determination. Failure didn't stop him, it refined him. Today, his new venture is thriving, and he credits his previous setback as the foundation for his current success. This story echoes a universal truth. Many people experience failure, whether it's a missed promotion, a failed relationship, or an abandoned goal. The initial sting of disappointment often clouds our ability to see the value hidden within the experience. But as the Stoics remind us, what matters is not the failure itself, but how we respond to it. Epictetus taught that while we cannot control external outcomes, we can always control our perspective and actions. This shift in mindset transforms failure from a source of despair into a catalyst for growth. Imagine someone striving to get in shape but failing to stick to a fitness routine. Instead of labeling themselves a failure, they could step back and analyze what went wrong. Maybe the workouts were too intense, the schedule unrealistic, or the goals too vague. Armed with this insight, they could adjust their approach, choosing more manageable exercises, scheduling workouts at better times, or setting specific, attainable goals. The next attempt, grounded in lessons from the first, would stand a far greater chance of success. Failure isn't a sign of weakness, it's evidence of effort. The act of trying, even when the outcome isn't as hoped, shows courage. The key is to approach failure with curiosity, asking what it can teach us rather than allowing it to defeat us. The Stoics saw each setback as an opportunity to practice resilience, patience, and adaptability, qualities essential for navigating life's uncertainties. To reset your life after a failure, start by reflecting on what happened without judgment. Write down the factors that contributed to the setback and the lessons they offer. Then use this clarity to design a new path forward. Small adjustments like seeking advice, refining strategies, or setting incremental goals can make all the difference. For my friend, failure wasn't a detour, it was the route to something better. By embracing his mistakes, he turned his disappointment into a stepping stone toward success. You can do the same. When setbacks come, don't let them derail you. Instead, let them teach you, shape you, and strengthen your resolve. Failure, after all, isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a better one. 6. Reclaim your narrative. Write your own story. Your story isn't written by others or by circumstances. It's shaped by the perspective you choose to take. Too often we let our past, fears, or doubts define who we are. But what if you could take control of your story, shaping it into something meaningful and inspiring? Every life, no matter how ordinary it may seem, has the potential to resonate deeply with others. The key is to see your experiences as valuable, not as burdens, but as stepping stones to something greater. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of controlling how we interpret and respond to events. Epictetus taught that while we cannot control external circumstances, we have absolute authority over how we frame and internalize them. This perspective gives us the power to rewrite the story we tell ourselves, turning self-doubt into confidence and isolation into connection. My neighbor is a living example of this. For years, he lived a quiet, solitary life, convinced that his experiences were unremarkable and not worth sharing. He avoided social gatherings and rarely opened up to others, assuming he had nothing interesting to contribute. One day, out of curiosity and a desire to break out of his routine, he joined a storytelling club. At first, he struggled, unsure of what to say or how to say it. But with each session, he found his voice. He began recounting childhood memories, moments of triumph, and lessons learned from failure. To his surprise, people listened, not out of politeness, but with genuine interest. His stories, while simple, resonated deeply with others. They laughed, nodded, and even shared how his experiences inspired them. Over time, he realized something profound. His life, with all its ups and downs, held meaning. By reclaiming his narrative, he transformed from someone who felt invisible into a person who could move and inspire others. This transformation isn't unique. Many people feel trapped by the belief that their lives lack significance. You might think, what do I have to offer? Who would care about my story? But the truth is, your experiences, whether joyful, painful, or mundane, carry a wisdom that others can relate to and learn from. Your story matters because it's yours, and only you can tell it. The Stoics understood this power of narrative. Marcus Aurelius, in his private meditations, often reflected on his life and actions. He used these reflections not as a way to dwell on past mistakes, but as a tool to guide his future decisions. In doing so, he continuously reclaimed his story, steering it toward growth and wisdom. If you've ever felt stuck in a cycle of self-doubt or isolation, consider how you're framing your life's narrative. Are you defining yourself by your limitations, or are you seeing your potential to grow and connect? To start reclaiming your story, take a small step. Write down 3 defining moments in your life. Reflect on what you learned from each experience and how it shaped you. Then share one of these stories with someone you trust, a friend, a colleague, or even a stranger in the right setting. The act of sharing can be transformative, not just for you, but for those who hear your story. For my neighbor, sharing his story was a turning point. It allowed him to see himself not as someone invisible, but as someone with the power to inspire. And as he connected with others, he found a renewed sense of purpose and belonging. Your story is your strength. By reclaiming it, you take control of your narrative, choosing growth over stagnation and connection over isolation. The act of sharing is a bold declaration that your life matters, not just to you, but to the world around you. So as you reset and refocus, remember that your story isn't finished. It's waiting to be told, shaped, and lived. 7. Harness the power of gratitude for mental clarity. Strength isn't born from avoiding challenges, but from embracing them and letting them shape you. Often we get so caught up in what's missing, what we haven't achieved, what went wrong, that we lose sight of the good that surrounds us. Gratitude isn't just a warm feeling. It's a powerful tool that shifts our focus from scarcity to abundance, helping us find clarity in chaos and strength in adversity. The Stoics valued gratitude deeply. Marcus Aurelius reflected daily on the blessings in his life, even amid challenges. He understood that appreciating what you have, rather than longing for what you lack, is the foundation of inner peace. Gratitude anchors us in the present, reminding us that happiness isn't found in the future, but in recognizing the value of what's here now. I've lived through this shift myself. A few years ago, I found myself in a challenging season. My career felt stagnant, my personal life was strained, and every day seemed like a battle against frustration and self-doubt. One evening, while journaling, I decided to write down 3 things I was thankful for that day. They weren't grand things, just small moments, like a kind word from a colleague, a good cup of coffee, and a sunset I happened to notice. That simple act of reflection changed something in me. For the first time in weeks, I felt lighter and more grounded. From then on, I made it a habit. Each day I found something to be grateful for, no matter how small. Over time, my mindset shifted. I wasn't dwelling on what I lacked, but celebrating what I already had. This practice isn't unique to me. Imagine someone navigating a tough job or financial struggles. Their stress is real, but if they focus solely on their problems, the weight becomes unbearable. Now, picture them pausing each evening to reflect on small wins. Maybe a supportive friend, a skill they've learned, or even just getting through the day. Gratitude doesn't erase challenges, but it changes how we carry them. It gives us the strength to move forward with hope. The Stoics believed that gratitude wasn't about denying life's hardships, but about acknowledging the good amidst them. Seneca wrote about the importance of seeing every moment, even difficult ones, as an opportunity. When we cultivate gratitude, we don't ignore our struggles. We remind ourselves that there is always something to hold on to, something to guide us through. So how can you harness the power of gratitude in your life? Start small. At the end of each day, write down 3 things you're thankful for. They don't need to be big. A kind gesture, a productive moment, or even the fact that you made it through the day is enough. Over time, this practice rewires your mind, training it to focus on what's working rather than what's not. You'll begin to see your life not as a series of problems, but as a collection of opportunities and blessings. For me, gratitude became a way to reset my perspective. It didn't change my circumstances overnight, but it changed how I approached them. I became more patient, more hopeful, and more at peace. Gratitude taught me that clarity doesn't come from having all the answers, but from appreciating the journey, even when it's uncertain. As you reset and refocus for the year ahead, let gratitude be your compass. It's a simple yet profound tool, grounding you in the present and reminding you of the abundance already within your grasp. When life feels overwhelming, pause and ask yourself, what can I be thankful for today? You'll find that even in the hardest moments, gratitude has the power to transform your outlook and your life. 8. Be present. The most powerful way to shape your future is by fully engaging with the moment you have now. Too often, we get lost in what could have been or what might be, while the moment we're living in slips away. But when you commit to being present, you align yourself with the only time that truly exists, now. It's in the present that clarity, peace, and progress are born. Stoicism teaches us the profound importance of living in the present. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Confine yourself to the present." This wasn't about dismissing the future, but about recognizing that our actions now shape what's ahead. By grounding yourself in the here and now, you take control of the choices, attitudes, and actions that define your life. I remember a period when I struggled to live this truth. I was juggling multiple commitments, constantly worrying about unfinished tasks or what lay ahead. My mind felt like a never-ending loop of deadlines and expectations. One evening, while sitting with my family at dinner, I realized I hadn't truly heard a word of the conversation. I was physically present, but mentally elsewhere. That moment hit hard. I decided something needed to change. The next day, I made a simple decision. I would practice being fully present for at least 15 minutes a day. I started small, leaving my phone in another room during family meals, focusing completely during conversations, and taking short, mindful walks. The shift was subtle but transformative. Those 15 minutes became a sanctuary, a space where I could breathe, think, and simply be. Over time, the practice spilled into other areas of my life, allowing me to approach challenges with clarity and relationships with deeper connections. This experience isn't unique. Imagine someone at work, overwhelmed by a pile of emails, meetings, and projects. Instead of tackling each task with focus, they jump between them distractedly, getting little done and feeling frustrated. Now picture that same person pausing for 5 minutes to center themselves, setting aside distractions to focus fully on one task at a time. The results would be striking, not only in productivity but in their sense of control and accomplishment. The Stoics valued this intentional presence deeply. Epictetus taught that we cannot control external events, but we can control how we respond to them. When we focus on what's in front of us, we let go of the anxiety that comes from dwelling on what we cannot change. Living in the present frees us from unnecessary stress, allowing us to engage with life fully and authentically. How can you practice being present in your own life? Start by choosing one small daily activity to do mindfully. It could be as simple as eating a meal without distractions, listening intently to a loved one, or taking 5 deep breaths before starting your day. These moments of presence anchor you, helping you reset and refocus amidst life's chaos. For me, the act of showing up each day, fully and intentionally, became a source of strength. It reminded me that while I couldn't control everything, I could control how I chose to engage with the moment. That choice brought not only clarity but also a renewed sense of gratitude for the life unfolding around me. As you move forward, remember that the present moment is where your power lies. The future will come, and the past has already gone, but what you do now shapes everything. By showing up daily, you give yourself the greatest gift, the chance to live your life fully, one moment at a time. Embrace this moment. It's yours. As we bring this journey to a close, remember that life's most profound transformations are born from intentional effort and the courage to embrace change. Whether through micro-habits, the power of discipline, or the clarity that comes with gratitude, each of the lessons we've explored offers a practical tool for resetting, restarting, and refocusing your life. These aren't just ideas. They are steps you can take daily to build resilience, find inner peace, and move closer to your true potential. Stoicism teaches us that growth comes not from perfection, but from progress. By letting go of what no longer serves you, learning from failures, and reclaiming the narrative of your life, you lay the foundation for a future rooted in purpose and clarity. These principles aren't about sudden breakthroughs, but steady, deliberate effort. Each moment you show up for yourself, even in the smallest way, is a step toward transformation. As you move forward, ask yourself, what small action can I take today to live more intentionally? Maybe it's starting a gratitude journal, embracing discomfort, or simply being present with your thoughts. The key is consistency. Life change is not in grand leaps, but in the quiet persistence of showing up each day. I encourage you to share your story in the comments below. What challenges have you faced? What steps are you taking to reset and refocus this year? Your journey could inspire someone else to begin theirs. Together, we can build a community of growth and encouragement. Remember, the life you want isn't somewhere out there. It's within your reach, shaped by the choices you make now. Embrace the present moment, commit to your path, and let the wisdom of these timeless lessons guide you forward. Your transformation begins today.